Okay, so we're hoping this works. Hi, I'm Ben Guzman. I'm one of the co-chairs for the host committee for this year's Creating Change. And I'm here with my dear friend, Lisbeth Melendez Rivera. So say hello.
Hi guys, how are you?
So Lisbeth and I have been to many Creating a Change.
Indeed.
And so you don't have to do math for us, but how many Creating Changes have you been to?
It's close to 20, if not 21.
Yeah.
I missed a couple there at the beginning, and then I think one since 2000.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with close to 20.
Great. And what are you going to be doing at this year's Creating Change?
Well, so in my professional capacity, I'm the director of Latinx and Catholic initiatives for the Human Rights Campaign. So I'll be closely working and attending a lot of the religion and faith track, practice spirit, do justice, be faithful. And then on a personal level, this is actually a year where I don't have as many workshops as I usually do.
Nice.
We'll be having two in which I will be working. Both of them are related to the disasters in the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, as well as Florida and Harvey, and the contrasting responses from the U.S. government, the aftermath, the current conditions, and how that has affected the life of LGBTQ people in those locations.
No, and I think that's really important, right? To be able to lift up, you know, the sort of queer perspective about the issues related to Boricuas and all of our folks down.
And you know, and really one of the most profound pieces of information that we'll be discussing is how we respond also to our brothers and sisters who are HIV positive. The lack of medication, the lack of attention, the fact, highlighting the good, which is the responses from LGBTQ health providers in the U.S. sending folks in, to help folks in Puerto Rico. But the reality is that conditions have not improved, and we have to highlight, we have to talk about that. Mostly when you take into consideration how many of us from the diaspora live in the East Coast. We're in Washington, D.C. It's been 150 days. There's still many places without water and electricity. It's not just about what has happened, what is happening right now, but what can we do in the coming future?
No, I think that's right. So, so we've talked about some of the serious stuff that will be going on at Creating Change. But what are you looking forward to? It's coming up in 2 weeks. So what are you looking forward to?
Oh, to see my family. I think that the one thing that is amazing about Creating Change after all these years and all my incarnations and all the ways in which I've come in and out of the LGBTQ movement is that Creating Change is Familia. It's a place where you go to see those who sometimes you don't see through the entire year. Right? You might live in the same city,
right?
And you still don't see each other until you get to Creating Change.
Washington D.C. folks who I never see.
Folks that you sometimes talk to on the phone, sometimes, but really it's about Familia. It's about sitting at the restaurant. It's about sitting at the bar and having everything from coffee to a cocktail with folks who you get to engage in profound political conversation, but also in a lot of gossiping and a lot of catching up with your families, seeing the faces, the advances, the progress. Celebrate those who are still here, and for those of us for those who've been lost throughout the year, understanding how does that affect us as a movement. To me, the thing, I look forward to the learning and to the teaching, but mostly I look forward to see my family.
I think that's right. So we are putting stories out there from our friends who are here in the DMV about Creating Change, because we want to encourage people in the area to come and volunteer with us, right? So, if you come from the area and want to see 4,000 of our closest friends coming to DC for this conference, and you spend 4 hours, volunteering, staffing a workshop, hanging out at a hospitality suite to make sure that people are comfortable, you get to attend the conference for the rest of the day. Right? What would you say to folks here who live, in Hyattsville, in the district, in Virginia? What would you say to them to say, hey, this is something I should do, between January 24th and the 28th?
So there are two things that I would say. The first one is, this is the first time in like almost 30 years that we're back to DC. So you might have to wait another 30 years to get an opportunity to see 4,000 of your closest friends and to meet the mentors and the legends of the movement, as well as those who are just getting started. For me, volunteering in the early days of creating change was the places where I got access to people like Mandy Carter and the founders of Southerners on New Ground. And, you know, back then, as a baby dyke, you're sitting there, you're like, oh my God, like, you know, these are the folks who define who we are as a movement. 4 hours of investment for a lifetime of learning and not waiting another 30 years to do it. I say go ahead, invest the time, come and do it. The second thing that I would say is the learning, is the conversations, is the formation of Familia, right? Yes, we meet people in our workshops and as we organize it, but when you volunteer, you have time to spend extended periods of time with folks. And what that does is create linkages that will last a lifetime.
Yep.
And you will get to meet people in the area that you never thought would be here. You know, it's not just the walking down the street and going to the club where it's like, oh, I know this, you know, I know this queer person, I know that queer person. You will get to meet people from DC you never knew were here. And those people might be just like you. You might think you're the only queer Muslim from Pakistan. You might run into 20 of you. You never know.
They might be, you know, putting the bag together next to you.
Next to you. And next thing you know, there's a new group, there's a new organization, there's a new effort, there's a new movement, and volunteer opportunities give you the chance to engage in those moments and to catch them in the nascent, right there when they were born. And 20 years from now, you can be the old person that I am now and say, I remember when I was
in the room when
that happened. And you will.
Yeah.
And so please, I encourage all of you who are in the DMV to volunteer, to come and learn, to come and spend some great time meeting not just your old friends, your new friends, and those who eventually become your family.
Great. That's great. I can't promote creating change any better than you just did. But do you have any final words for folks?
Again, it's been close to 30 years. You know, this is a moment that many of us have been waiting for, fighting for, advocating for. And if there's anything else that I would say is for those of you who are here, who might have forgotten what the task force does, or who might be on the fence about attending, remember, only in a lifetime you get to say goodbye the proper way to Sue Hyde. So come and join us. Come and say goodbye to the legend. Come and say goodbye to the activist. Come and see the birth of the new Sue Hyde, because they will be there and you might get to meet them.
Nice. Okay, thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias. Maraming
Nada,
salamat. Okay, say goodbye.
Goodbye,
Bye.
guys.
Paalam. Ciao.
Ciao.
Okay.